Today, we are going to talk about a pretty serious threat that honestly you might not have even heard of yet, the 2026 ghost pension crisis. For decades, we've all been told this one story about how to save for retirement. But what if that whole story is just broken? And what if there is a specific deadline coming up and it's coming up fast? We're going to unpack just how fragile modern retirement planning is, and then we'll explore a powerful new way to think about your financial future, one that actually puts you back in the driver's seat. So let's just start with this quote, because it really cuts right to the heart of why so many people feel so anxious right now. See, the old system, working for 30 years, getting a pension, that guaranteed paycheck for life, well, that created a real sense of security. But when that system got swapped out, nobody really gave us the full picture about the new risks we were all taking on. It turns out the very foundation we were told to build our entire futures on is, well, fundamentally flawed. All right, so here's our game plan for how we're going to tackle this together. First, we'll break down exactly why the retirement myth we've all been sold is crumbling. Then we're going to talk about shifting our mindset from just passively hoping to actively building. We'll explore a really powerful alternative that's all about cash flow, give you a 4-pillar framework to guide your decisions, and then we'll wrap up with maybe the most important idea of all, preparing for the future instead of just trying to predict it. Okay, let's dive into this first section. For years and years, we've been told there's this proven method for retirement. You know the drill, right? Study hard, get a good job, and just diligently shovel money into your 401k. Well, it's time to really pull back the curtain on this system that millions of us were taught to trust, because the evidence, it's showing that it's breaking down. And this right here, this is the critical flaw. You see, a pension grew with your years of service. Time was on your side. But a 401k, it's basically a passenger to the whims of the market. Its value is not tied to the movement of time, it's tied to the movement of the stock market. And we've all seen what happens in crashes, right? After the dot-com bust or in 2008, people's retirement funds can get literally cut in half, almost overnight, and you have zero control when it falls. Now, this chart, wow. This is a real-world and, frankly, a catastrophic example of what happens when that buy-and-hold strategy just completely fails. Back in the 80s, Japan's market was on fire, peaking way up there near 40,000. But then it crashed, losing almost 75% of its value, and then it just sat there. It stagnated for more than 2 decades. This wasn't just a dip. It was an entire generation-long financial winter. And this is where the danger really hits home. Just imagine. Your financial planner in Japan sits you down when you're 50, lays out this beautiful 20-year retirement plan, and it's all based on market growth. Well, you would have hit retirement age with your nest egg totally decimated, having gone through 2 full decades of nothing. This is the massive gamble you're taking when your entire future is tied to the market. You're betting that 2 decades of your life's work won't just be erased. So that terrifying possibility, it forces us to make a really crucial choice. The fragility of this whole 401k system means we can't just cross our fingers and hope for the best anymore. We have to decide, are we going to be passive passengers on this ride, or are we going to be active pilots of our own financial destiny? This slide lays out the 2 paths so clearly. I mean, most people are on the hoping path on the left side. Their entire financial well-being is tied to the market, they've got no real control, and their whole focus is on this one number, their net worth. But real financial independence, that requires moving over to the building path on the right. This is about being active. It's tied to your skills. It's focused on building actual income, and it relies on the daily actions that you can actually control. This analogy is just perfect. It brilliantly illustrates that hidden risk in a system that seems totally safe and reliable. The turkey feels secure every single day, right up until Thanksgiving morning. The 401k system can feel just like that, a steady, reliable plan that works great until the day it suddenly and catastrophically doesn't. Let's put this in really practical terms. Let's say you're 50 with about $120,000 saved, and your goal is to have $1.2 million by the time you're 60. Well, you're not just hoping for some growth. You literally need the market to go up tenfold for you. I mean, when you really look at the history, is that a reliable plan, or is it just a hope? Relying on the market alone is like being a passenger on a ship and just hoping it ends up at the right destination. Okay, so if hoping isn't a strategy, what's the alternative? Well, now we're going to explore a real, tangible solution that puts you back in the cockpit. And it's all about focusing on cash flow instead of just hoping for capital gains. The philosophy here is a complete 180. Instead of being obsessed with some future lump sum of money, the goal is to build streams of passive income right now. The whole point is to buy assets that generate steady, spendable income that can cover your living expenses. Because when your passive income is more than your expenses, well, your job suddenly becomes optional, not a necessity. And this is the absolute beauty of what's called the weaning process. It's not about grinding away until you're 65 and then just flipping a switch to retired. No, it's a gradual process. You start building that passive income now. As it grows, you can start to rely on your job less and less. And over time, you wean yourself completely off that job-based income, and you get to reclaim your time and your freedom years or even decades earlier than you ever thought possible. I love this quote. It just perfectly captures the mindset shift we're talking about. Financial independence, it's not a lottery ticket. It's masonry. It's about taking small, consistent, daily actions. Every action is another brick you're laying in this wall of financial security that you are actively building yourself, day by day. So, how do we actually do this? How do we find the right assets and make smart decisions? Well, this next section gives us a really structured framework, a blueprint for how to think and act like a sophisticated active investor. This right here, this is your new decision-making blueprint. It's kind of crazy, but a lot of people spend more time planning their Christmas list than their financial future. This framework changes that. These 4 pillars, fundamentals, technicals, cash flow, and risk management, they guide every single investment decision. They make sure you're looking at any opportunity from all the critical angles. All right, the first pillar is about understanding the big picture. What are the major forces shaping the economy? We've got this simple but really powerful formula here. Government policy plus demographics equals the future. Think about it. We have a policy that pays Social Security and pensions to people when they hit a certain age, and we have a massive demographic wave of baby boomers hitting that age. Well, that equation points to a pretty predictable future of immense strain, and that's a key driver of what experts are now calling the 2026 ghost pension crisis, as major funds start to face insolvency. Pillar 2 is about data, not about stories. See, while the fundamentals tell you what should be happening long-term, the technicals, the price charts, they tell you what is happening right now. The chart is the ultimate judge. It reflects the unfiltered reality of an asset's price. You have to ask, is it trending up, down, or just sideways? Learning to read these trends is an absolutely critical skill, because at the end of the day, it's your money on the line. Pillar 3 is our core strategy. With every single potential investment, whether it's a rental property or a dividend stock, you have to ask the number one question. How does this asset generate consistent cash flow? You're not just looking for something to buy low and hopefully sell high someday. The goal is to build an income stream that you can actually live on, not just a pile of money you hope to sell later. And finally, and this is maybe the most important pillar of all, is risk management. With a typical buy and hold strategy, there's no plan for when things go wrong. This pillar is about creating that plan before you even invest a dime. It means defining exactly what has to happen for you to sell and protect your capital. It's your plan to get on the lifeboat if the ship starts to sink. It's what makes sure you preserve your money so you can live to invest another day. And that brings us to our final and, maybe the most important section. This is the big philosophical shift that ties all 4 of those pillars together. It's a brand new mindset for a new and, let's face it, a much more volatile financial reality. You know, when most people think risk, they just think of the stock market going up or down. But that is dangerously simplistic. True risk management means you're preparing for all the different ways your plan can get derailed. There's longevity risk, the risk of outliving your money. There's obsolescence risk. Just ask Blockbuster Video how that went. And there's systemic risk, which is exactly what this ghost pension crisis is. A fundamental breakdown in the system we were all told to trust. You gotta think bigger. And that really brings us to the ultimate conclusion here. We don't need a crystal ball. In fact, trying to predict the future is a fool's errand. So instead of prediction, we're going to focus on preparation. We use those 4 pillars to build a strong, robust system that prepares us for multiple possible outcomes. Whether the market goes up, down, or sideways, we have a plan no matter what happens. And that brings us to the final question. The image on this slide just perfectly illustrates the choice that every single one of us has. Are you just a passive passenger on the big ship, hoping the captain and the crew get you to your destination safely? Or are you actively building your own lifeboat, a resilient, cash-flowing system that gives you control, ready to weather any storm that comes your way? At the end of the day, the choice is yours.